Welcome to Precision Animal Training, where we teach big lessons through the lens of getting precise science-based behavior. I'm Kier like your ear, Kirsten, crawl like a baby Kraljevic, animal trainer, behavior nerd, and your host. This is a show about real, lasting change. The science of precision, the power of pursuing perfect timing, the art of truly seeing and shaping behavior. Whether you're working with chickens, dogs, dolphins, parrots, horses, or even ourselves, expect real stories from the field, timeless principles that transfer across species, and practical insights you can apply immediately. Because if you can train a chicken with clarity, kindness, and razor-sharp precision, you can train almost anything. So grab a notebook. This is your personal masterclass in curiosity, mechanics, and true behavioral understanding. Welcome to the Precision Animal Training Podcast. In this episode, we go behind the scenes of an exciting month of international animal training workshops. You will hear real stories from past classes, the unexpected challenges we face from laser-cut insect models to runaway paper clips, and what truly separates a quality workshop from the rest. Dr. Bob Bailey breaks down why real skill development means keeping things simple but never easy. He explains how mechanical mastery and sharp critical thinking form the foundation for the future of this profession. If you have ever wondered what it actually takes to improve as a trainer and how to cut through the noise and fluff in today's information overload, this episode is for you. Let's get started. Welcome back. I'm here with one of my favorite people, Dr. Bob Bailey, in Deep Fried Studios, so we can bring you up to date with what we've been up to. Bob, do you want to tell them what we've been up to, or do you want me to?
Well, you can start it off. You're the one who started it. These are your workshops.
Technically, you started it. I'm just trying to help you keep it going. So the whole month of May has been a blur to us, or at least to me. Bob comes down from Hot Springs with his girlfriend, Linda. She has been so helpful in this project. I can't even tell you how many behind the scene things she does, as well as my husband, Mike, and we're thankful to both of them. But Bob shows up, and we've been running workshops. We ran a discrimination workshop, a cueing workshop, a criteria workshop, where we got to meet students from around the world who are very passionate about being exposed to this body of work. Where's the furthest away that you've ever taught a student?
The furthest away where I have been or they have come from?
I think you should tell us both.
Well, certainly I've been to China, been to all of the European countries, and far north into Canada. And I've been to Brazil and Ecuador and some other places. So I've been kind of around. And the students have also come from all over. There was a period of time we had quite a group coming from Brazil. They wanted to start a school in Brazil. There was also a group that was coming from Chile. They wanted to start a school in Chile. And, of course, we had some Peruvian trainers. So we've had them from around the world.
And I know that you blessed classes around the world, that there's some in Germany and there was some in Sweden, or...
Yeah, they were classes where they had chickens, they had all the equipment, and most of the time the people had come to the United States, taken a workshop there or a series of workshops, and then set up their own in their own country. And they'd invite me over to take a look and, maybe work with them. And if it looked pretty good, there were times that I did just that. I worked with them on giving chicken workshops.
So you brought up a really good point. For the people out there that are, jazzed by what we've been telling on your past and this technology and how we'd like to see the future of animal training with it, how do they know what a quality chicken workshop is? Because you know how now we live in the time of influencers, and when something becomes popular, it just spreads like, I want to say baby poop because I have a new granddaughter, but I'll say wildfire. But it just, so there's knockoff workshops out there, or workshops where people perhaps don't understand the intent that you had. Like, what advice would you give a consumer of these workshops that is looking for this experience?
First off, if it's too easy, it's not a good workshop. You should be exhausted by the end of the day. There should be challenges. If everyone succeeds with every part of the program during the workshop, then that's not a good workshop. Again, there should be those who make it and those that don't quite make it. And what you're trying to indicate to people is some people have to work more on their skill levels than other people. But there should be a challenge to the class, a real challenge. And if you find during the class there are all sorts of helps, ways of making it easier and easier and even easier to get the behavior, that is not a challenging class. You should get the behavior because of your skill, not in spite of it.
So when you and Marion were developing these classes for the general public, you actually kept data and adjusted the exercises to meet that challenge, to keep people challenged?
Sure. Well, there would be people and these would be trainers of our clients. We didn't do this in the public. We did this for our clients. And we would give them essentially a school in animal training. Now, a lot of these folks had been training for a few years already, and they would probably have objected to this, except that their jobs depended on their cooperating on this. And had we said that person is not trying, or that person is not a good trainer, that they would have been fired. And somebody else would have been brought aboard. And they knew this, so they cooperated. The point is, some of them didn't like it, and they thought they already knew everything that was needed for them to train. Well, a certain number of people were like that. Most cooperated and learned, and their shows got better. And some of them actually began to like that particular, I'm going to say, kind of training. They learned that they should keep records. They learned that there's such a thing as reinforcement and punishment and all of these really technically defined aspects of training. And they found out, for instance, that punishment was not necessarily beating the animal over the head. That all it was is something that in the environment caused the behavior to decline. Anyway, they learned more of the technical aspects, and we were hoping to create the idea of a profession. And I don't know how much it really changed the profession, if you will, but we made it an attempt at it anyway.
Oh, I would say it changed the profession dramatically. And we are going to bring you some guests during the series that I believe are the innovators, the movers and the shakers of animal training now, and hopefully ask them how they met you and how you changed them. That would be great. But when you brought these workshops to the public, when you bought that trailer and you and Marion were crisscrossing North America, what were some of the exercises you tried that didn't work out? What are some of those stories?
Well, there were a few times where we did things that made the chicken a little more enthusiastic than what we wanted. That there is a discrimination class where the chicken is taught to tell the difference between objects and respond to one object and not to another. It's called differential reinforcement. And I decided to make it a little more interesting and to use, instead of just simple shapes, circles, triangles, squares, or colors, or things like that, I decided I would get these rather beautiful little models that are carved out of wood using laser beams. And they had insects in there of different types. When they had all the little antennae, the little feet, and you'd have a centipede and a caterpillar and a millipede and all these little animals with these little appurtenances. And I introduced them into the class without really even trying them because I knew that chickens would respond to them. What I didn't realize is how the chickens would really respond to them.
What happened?
And the students would put these on the table, and the chickens would go absolutely berserk. And they would be carrying these objects on the table, banging them into the table, and tearing them apart, literally ripping the little feet and antennae off of these objects, and totally forgetting what the exercise was really all about. And I had to say that one was pretty much a failure because I went back to circles, triangles, and squares and colors.
What about paper clips? Did you ever try paper clips?
Yeah, we created some, I guess you'd call them slingshots, with rubber bands, and the chicken would shoot these paper clips at targets. But pretty soon we had paper clips flying all over the room, and I realized that it might be a risk to someone's eyesight, and at least smart if it hit somebody. So we abandoned that one, although chickens were very good at it.
I can only imagine a chicken hitting you with a paper clip. Are you an animal trainer ready to sharpen your skills to a legendary level? Or a corporate leader looking for a fresh, powerful way to boost team dynamics, decision-making, and leadership? Discover Kirsten's Chicken Workshops, an immersive 5-day experience rooted in the science-based curated exercises of the legendary Bob and Marion Bailey. Train a live chicken using the principles of operant conditioning, like positive reinforcement. Why chickens? They're fast, honest teachers that instantly reveal where you need to improve your training skills. No fluff, just real results that transfer to dogs, horses, or any species you want to train, and even to leading people more effectively. Trainers call it life-changing. Dr. Bob Bailey himself endorses it as the ultimate mechanical skill builder. So visit Kirsten'sChickenWorkshops.com right now and sign up for the waitlist. Spots fill fast. Train a chicken, change the way you train and lead forever. Head to Kirsten'sChickenWorkshops.com today. So when I think of this audience, I want it filled with young people that want to get into the industry. I want training to have a future, and not just a future, but a future that is brighter than it's been in the past, that we incorporate the change that I believe you've always advocated for in the workshops. But yet we live in a time where there's so much information online, so much written information online that a person could actually get lost. And remember, we say any trainer using any method can get any behavior given enough time. So when we talk about skill sets that we believe young trainers should get, it's mechanical skill sets. It's their timing, their criteria, and their rate of reinforcement that needs to improve. And I can say those words, and I believe they will mean very little to you unless you go through exercises that were designed to have you feel that.
Well, it's very easy to make simple things complicated. And complicated sounds more expensive and better than simple. So people, I think, by and large, have no difficulty making training sound very complex, even basic training. And I think that it is a lot better for a person to approach it, at least at first, very simply. What are the principles behind whatever it is they're doing? And there are principles to animal training. And are the principles taught? Is there a scientific basis for what is being taught? But also, is it understandable? Do the people that are teaching the course talk in understandable words? when they give exercises. Are the exercises themselves challenging? There are ways of making discriminations, that telling the difference between objects, making it extremely simple. But the person is learning no skills. The person isn't learning what is often necessary in a true working environment to get this discrimination that they want. Whether it's a chicken, an aardvark, or a zebra, that the person needs to know fundamentally what's required in order to make a discrimination, how to get it under many different environments, and how to get it without cheating. And that includes all the things from shock collars and other punitive ways to using what they call fading, where you bring objects in from the side and the animal doesn't even really see it or pay attention to it for a long time. You want to be able to tell that animal with your behavior what object the chicken should respond to. Circle, triangle, square, color, whatever it happens to be. That is your skill that communicates to the animal in the shortest period of time what will result in reinforcement. What will make it worthwhile for the chicken, in this case, the chicken, to play the game.
Yeah, that there's a lot there that Bob just said. And the hardest part, I believe, in all of this is that it's like an extra gear. It's next level, that I believe, these exercises, even though they're basic and they are intended for anybody, even if you don't have experience. I don't know that there's anything you can contrast them with out there until you experience them to realize what you're actually capable of as far as developing mechanical skills and observational skills. If you don't take a workshop that was essentially designed by Bob and Marion and their experience, remember, their decades of experience of training animal trainers, and not just saying I train animal trainers, but saying I train animal trainers to train 140 plus species. That's not just I trained my dog, now I train a bunch of animal trainers. There's a difference there. There's a true difference. One of the, I'm going to say, the hardest lessons I've learned from you is keeping things simple. I don't know why I always want to make things complicated, and you over and over again have drilled into me that the simplicity and making it simple and easy for people to learn is the steak, not the sizzle. That is the steak. Can you tell me a little bit more about how you guys figured that out?
I don't know. Maybe I am just a simple person.
Not
but
true.
I always heard from my folks that keep it simple. But anyway, there is a human tendency, especially when we don't really fully understand something, is to make it more complicated. And certainly there are those who feel that they can sell things and sell things for more if they sound complicated. And it's easy to make a simple thing, a simple activity, sound complicated just by using big words. And that seems to be a common thing in animal training, is for people to complicate things simply in order to either sell, market, or otherwise promote whatever it is they're doing.
That seems to be true of any industry. And the unique thing to me, I guess, about critical thinking is that you have to condition yourself for the simple stuff and not I'm going to call it fluff, not go for the fluff, because the fluff is smoke and mirrors. It's the snake oils.
Well, I'm not sure what fluff is.
Okay.
I'm not sure of the definition of fluff. There can be a lot of information provided that's really totally irrelevant to what is important in whatever the technology is that you're practicing or selling or marketing. teaching, whatever it is. Again, there is this natural tendency to want to complicate things, make it sound like more than it is, make it sound like you're getting more for your money. So I guess that I believe in simplicity. I want to understand the simple parts of it first. And there are many mechanical activities, many things that's required in animal training that's mechanics, simply mechanics, that I want to be sure that people understand, although it is simple, it is not easy. That is something that people don't seem to understand. Just because I say it's simple or I teach that it's simple, it doesn't mean that it's easy.
I can attest to that. Like I said, we just came off 3 weeks of teaching, and the first thing we do is we put a measuring cup in your hand with a, if you can picture it, a clicker on the end of it that your thumb is supposed to suppress. And we put a little bit of feed in there, and then literally for the whole week, you try not to spill food as you quickly present this cup to the chicken. And I have to say, last day of class, just like the first day of class, people are still spilling that feed, even though it's simple but not easy to keep it in the cup.
They know when they do it right, the feed does not spill, and yet they don't do it right. Even after several days, they have to keep focusing on themselves. We don't make it easy for them. We don't fix the cup so it can't spill feed. We could do that, but we don't want to do that. We want to have the student feel the complexity of how they have to move their hand in order to dispense the food without spilling it all over the table. Because when you spill it all over the table, the bird has free feed, and it totally distracts the bird from what it should be doing, making discrimination or going from point A to point B or whatever the exercise is, that the bird now is focused on that feed on the table. As I said, it's simple but not easy.
And isn't that a lesson in life? Until next time, thank you for tuning in. Stay curious, stay strong, and see you soon. Thanks so much for joining us on this episode of Precision Animal Training. Before we sign off, here is a quick recap of the key moments. First, we explored why the best animal training workshops are challenging by design. If it feels too easy, you are probably not building the right skills. Real mastery comes from facing those challenges head on, not from taking shortcuts. Second, Dr. Bob Bailey and I unpacked the difference between complexity and quality. Big words and complicated explanations do not equal better training. True expertise is about keeping things simple, and as we learned, simple is never the same as easy. Third, we dove into what it really takes to develop mechanical and observational skills. Simplicity demands discipline, repetition, and the willingness to push through mistakes. As Bob says, the stake is in the straightforward practice, not the sizzle. Finally, it all comes down to critical thinking, filtering out the fluff, avoiding snake oil, and committing to the fundamentals even when it feels tough or unglamorous. That is how real excellence is built. Until next time, stay curious, embrace the challenge, and remember, in animal training and in life, simple is powerful when you do the work. And we will see you back here soon on Precision Animal Training. Thanks for listening to the Precision Animal Training Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, rate, and review us wherever you listen. It helps spread the word to more trainers like you. Share the show with a friend who could use a behavior breakthrough. Want to dive deeper into precision animal training? Head to Kirsten'sChickenWorkshops.com to learn about the workshops, sign up, or join the waitlist for the next series. That's Kirsten'sChickenWorkshops.com, where legendary science-based behavioral technology meets tomorrow's top trainers. Thanks again for listening, and until next time, remember, train a chicken, change the way you train forever. This show was edited and produced by Johnny Gwynn at Deep Fried Studios.